Welcome to Tomes and Tales. Today's story is about a haunting, strange psychic phenomena and the price of perfection. A few years ago, the fire department were called out to an incident at a school. Now this was in the summertime, so the children were away, teachers were gone. The building wasn't in use, it was just going through regular maintenance. But there were reports from people who lived near the school that there was a strange yellow mist coming from it. The fire department was soon at the scene and they assessed the situation. Two of them went inside to investigate. They had all the masks on, all their equipment ready, and they waded through this real thick yellow smoke. They checked the various rooms trying to determine the source of this. Was it a fire, some kind of chemical leak? As they got further in, one of the officers could hear voices in one of the classrooms, and this really alarmed him. This building was meant to be empty. He called his colleague and they went inside, and to the shock, in the room was a lady stood at the front of the class holding a violin. She's wearing quite old-fashioned clothing, and there were children in the class as well, 10 of them. Now none of them seemed to pay any attention to the firefighters. They were focused very much on the teacher, who was pacing up and down and playing the violin. The officers, understandably alarmed, tried to tend to the children, and the children, they could see when they got up close to them, really looked upset. A look of fear on their faces, and they were coughing and choking on all the fumes. The teacher started yelling at them though in French, stamping her foot and gesturing to the violin. She's playing vigorously. One of the firefighters went up to her and said, "Ma'am, this has to stop." The teacher just completely ignored the officer and started yelling at the kids, stamping her foot, playing the violin. The children had violins as well and were terrified, and they tried to play. This was an incredibly strange scene, and the firefighters really didn't know what to do about this. Maybe there was something in these fumes, it was a chemical leak that was causing everyone to hallucinate, but the situation was out of control. So one of the officers tried to get the kids to stand up and leave. They were very reluctant to do so at first, but eventually agreed to go with the officer. But at this point, the door to the classroom slammed shut, and the officer couldn't leave. The teacher started to shout more and more. The officers didn't know what she was saying, they couldn't speak French. While the firefighter was trying to open the door and get the kids out of the building, the other firefighter, who was quite new on the job, had really run out of patience with the whole situation and the urgency and the fact that this teacher was just ignoring what was going on and keeping everyone in danger. He reached out to take the violin from her, and he couldn't. She had a really tight grip. So he picked up one of the violins that was left on one of the kids' desks. And he's like, "You want me to play? I'll play." And he just very crudely strummed away at the strings, just to make a point to her. The weird thing is, this distracted her. And she looked at him and she seemed to relax. And she started playing as well. The door opened, and the other firefighter let the kids out. The teacher reluctantly walked out the class as well. The firefighter who had opened the door for the kids ran outside to make sure they were okay, but they were all gone as well. The smoke gradually dissipated, and they couldn't trace it, they couldn't explain it. They did some tests in the area, and the test showed that there were traces of mustard gas. Now, it would be reasonable to think this was some kind of terrorist attack, but it didn't really add up. Where did they all go? The teacher had disappeared, the kids had disappeared. Why was she wearing strange clothes? Why was she speaking French? What was the whole deal with the violin? Now the firefighter who'd been gifted a notebook from one of the kids had to look inside, and he noted the date. It was from the summer of 1915. Now of course we don't know the answer to this or the cause for it. My own theory is that maybe something happened in France back in 1915 during World War I. Chemical warfare was new in those days, mustard gas was used. Maybe there was a tragedy that was undocumented. Maybe the mustard gas went through a school. A school in which there was a class that went on a little bit too long, with a teacher who was diligent about teaching those kids violin. And maybe that left enough of a scar for those restless spirits to resurface here and there. And just maybe the kind actions of the professional firefighters freed them from the earth. So I hope you liked that tale. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe, leave some comments below, and I will see you soon with another tale.